You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler and Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on this Wednesday. We have got plenty to get into today. We're going to talk fifth-year options around the National Football League for the 2023 draft class.
Yep, it's that time.
Man, that happens really quickly.
It's unbelievable how quick it comes. And it's a weird system because you have to do it before their season.
You have to decide on their fifth year after their third year.
Right.
And guarantee that money for the fourth and the fifth season.
I know people were up in arms when the Steelers didn't pick up Najee, but it's especially at that position with the wear and tear he had on his body, it's you may not even get the whole year out of this guy. I mean, what conditions are you going to be in a year from now when it matters?
That's a really good example because say you would have picked up Najee's option, and now this is one of those butterfly effect things.
Oh, of course, right.
He might have been completely healthy and played 17 games for the Steelers this year as he did all of his years in Pittsburgh. He also, though, if he tore his Achilles like he did early in the season, you would have lost him for this entire year.
Yeah.
All that guaranteed money. Plus, he would still be on the books for a big chunk of change for this upcoming season coming off of that Achilles injury.
Right. Yeah.
And that will factor in, as we'll obviously talk plenty of Broderick Jones. We're going to run through the gambit of all 32 first-round picks, but we will spend the most time around Broderick Jones. We'll catch up with our buddy Chris Halicke here today in this first hour to get all his thoughts on the ongoing head coaching search and the other coaching moving and shaking around the National Football League. We will do some Best of the West Stadium Food edition.
Good stuff.
But Matt, as we will continue to do as long as this coaching carousel is still running, we'll start with the news of the day, the topics du jour here to get us going. And I think number one on that set list for me today is Andy Weidl, reportedly, according to Jerry Dulac, Mark Cabali, Mike DeFabo, interviewing for the Atlanta Falcons' vacant GM job. That would be in a offseason of change and loss and turnover for the Steelers. This one wouldn't grab the headlines like Mike Tomlin and Aaron Rodgers, but it might be potentially one of the biggest pieces, one of the biggest things to keep an eye on for the Steelers here in the coming weeks.
It's huge. And frankly, I think that day's coming one of these off seasons, because he's very, very good at his job. He's been with really good organizations too. I mean, you were with the Ravens, you were with the Eagles. I mean, you were with some organizations that are highly sought after, learned a lot of things. I mean, different approaches to the game. Now, the way I understand it, not that Omar is not a talent evaluator, but he was a cap guy. Andy made his bones on the road, scouting, watching tape, breaking down film, being, left tackle's feet and, what kind of upside he has and all those things.
How's his hand placement, all this stuff.
That's not how Omar was brought into his position. Omar is a general manager. He manages generally.
I always wondered what that meant.
Yes. And Andy is more the talent evaluator. He's the right-hand man right now. And the obvious move for Andy is, I want to be the big chair.
I'm going
to get paid more. I'm going to have more responsibility. I'm going to be in charge of the entire organization. I would do all the grocery shopping for the Falcons. So he would be a big loss.
A huge one.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at how optimistic we are about the Steelers in the trenches right now, I think you can draw a direct parallel to that with Andy Weidl. Did that kind of trying to build that bully and investing in the trenches like he did in Philadelphia that has led them to have
definitely an Eagles way of looking at things.
So much success. And you're right, just a well-regarded talent evaluator, up and coming, that's been with a lot of successful organizations, and would be a substantial loss for the Steelers organization. This timing too, he's the one who sets the draft board and is huge.
That's what he's doing now. Is he's watching free agent and draft tape, I'm sure, right?
And that is this is Andy Weidl's season here for the next few months,
big time.
And to be replacing that guy right in the middle of when you kind of lean on him most would obviously be a big loss. We were kind of laughing. We were looking. Actually, Mike DeFabo, who was with us on the show yesterday, tweeted out pictures from the New Orleans Saints 2000 media guide.
Okay, wow, long ago.
Within that media guide, Mike McCarthy, offensive coordinator, he's in the fold now as a potential head coaching candidate.
Yeah, a lot of heater on him right now.
Omar Khan, football operations assistant.
Okay.
Remember, a lot of people forget he was with the Saints for a couple years before being with the Steelers now for 20-some years in some capacity. And then Andy Weidl, combine scout for the New Orleans Saints.
How about that?
So that kind of
they look a little different too from what I think.
Football operations versus combine scout, I think that kind of lays out what you were just depicting and how it's it's kind of two, I don't know, like I was going to say a trident, but that's three, but you get what I'm saying. It's like two spears on the end of a weapon that kind of work together to try and get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know much to add, to be honest.
It's just something we'll keep an eye on.
Yeah, keep an eye on him. I'm rooting for him. I mean, it's not a huge secret. He's a year younger than me at the same high school, Mount Lebanon. We didn't loaf together, but I've known him for a very long time, and I'm wishing him the best. And even when I started scouting, I'd see him on the road here and there and things like that. And hey, Andy, how you doing? And then when he got hired by Steelers, but great. And he's been very, very good at what he does. So I think it's a matter of when, not if, he does get a GM. But for the Steelers and for our listeners, you hope it's later than sooner.
Sure.
For Andy, I'm hoping for sooner than later.
Just depends on what side of the fence you're coming down on there.
Yeah.
So that'll certainly be another thing along with the Steelers head coaching search and filling out that entire staff that we'll be keeping an eye on. Still not much new in that regard. We had talked about the scheduled visits and things like that are coming up. I believe Mike McCarthy is in today. Anthony Weaver coming in the next couple days for formal, more formal sit-down interviews. But what we do know here today, Matt, is that Mike McDaniel all set to become the Chargers offensive coordinator. So that takes one of these. He was in the fold for some head coaching mix, obviously for some offensive coordinator considerations as well. And it sounds like it's all settled, to just other than crossing some T's and dotting some I's before it becomes officially official for Mike McDaniel under Harbaugh. He goes out there to work with Herbert, to work with what will be a rejuvenated offensive line when they get those bookends. They get those bookends back. And what will, I think, Matt, just become one of the more interesting relationships between two football dorks in Harbaugh and McDaniel, but that could not be on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
I've talked a lot about this today. I've done two other shows. One of them was fantasy related and in my normal podcast. And I think it's super interesting. I think he's probably the most sought after offensive mind that was on the market that probably was going to have to do this before getting another head gig, or maybe the Browns would have hired him, or a job that's not as appealing.
Sure.
As opposed to go work with Herbert in a playoff team. I don't know either one of them, but he and Harbaugh seem like they could not be any more different. And they're extreme, they really
Oil
stand
and water.
out. Yeah. And even the scheme that they had last year compared to the Dolphins scheme couldn't be any different. And I guess Harbaugh said basically we want to infuse more motion, more West Coast, than what we're doing. And frankly, I was making the joke on another show. To me, I'm not a foodie. I mean, but fusion, I guess, is the big thing. But
Asian fusion,
right.
Mexican fusion.
It feels like taking General Tso's and putting it in my spaghetti, But I guess it works. People love fusion and all this stuff. It's two different worlds. It could blow up like crazy, or it could be phenomenal. But it's going to be interesting.
I think it's one of those two results.
I think it's one of those two results. And frankly, I think Tua kind of handcuffed McDaniel as opposed to the other way around. If this is my quarterback, I have to get out of his hands quick. And he's good at that. Accurate. So he had to design everything around the quarterback, where Herbert, you can design anything you want, And I bet he's unbelievably psyched to work with Herbert, especially those tackles coming back. But I joked for years, Dolphins, too many Ferraris, not enough dump trucks. And this past year, they did. They got Aldi Gordon, who's a big banger. Their first-round pick was a nose tackle. Their second-round pick was a big guard. So they kind of realized the error of their ways. But this is all dump trucks. I don't think they're not going to
bunch of F-150s in that parking lot.
There's a bunch of semis. They're both teams use fullbacks, but the Chargers use a Ricard type former D lineman Matlock guys, where they want use check types in the McDaniel system, pass catchers and movable chess pieces that run routes, things like that. They just have hammers. So I think McDaniel's going to have to adjust more than they're going to have to adjust to him.
Sure.
But
because Harbaugh's the head guy.
Yeah, right. And they're still going to run the football and they're going to be physical. That's never going to change under Harbaugh. Right.
It's like I need those guys on Hard Knocks, like Harbaugh, like lifting weights and screaming and yelling, and McDaniel's like in the corner doing yoga, sipping on his matcha. You know what I mean?
I'd love to be sitting in an offensive staff meeting with those guys.
Be incredible.
Yeah.
And give me a second here, guys. I got to text my wife and tell her to scrap tonight's dinner plans. We're having General Tso's and spaghetti instead. Fusion day here in the Uhler household. Matt, I also wanted to, in the opening segment here, throw this at you before we go to break. Did you hear Robert Kraft on Boston radio?
I heard of it, and it's coming.
Robert, and this shouldn't shock anybody, but when you hear Robert Kraft, one of the foremost owners in the National Football League,
he's in the Hall of Fame,
speaking about it very candidly on whatever the Patriots, I think it's called the Sports Hub, I think the radio station in Boston, saying that the NFL's biggest priorities, 18-game regular season schedule, cutting the preseason back to 2, which again we've thrown out there a million times. It's inevitable. And every team, every year, playing an international game.
I've thought that's coming too. I think 2 bye weeks is absolutely part of that picture. Some of it I love. Like we actually broke this down on a fantasy show earlier, and it screws up fantasy stuff everywhere. There's bye weeks, when you run your Super Bowl, all that stuff. But I look at it through an NFL lens, which all of our listeners care more about, I'm sure. I think it's inevitable. I mean, like some of the things are, we didn't want to start play on Labor Day weekend. People are busy. Like, not too busy for the NFL.
Not too busy for the NFL.
Play on Christmas.
Yes.
I mean, I don't want to hear it. I mean, you don't think anyone's going to tune in on Labor Day weekend to opening weekend? Of course that's going to happen.
No, they're all at the lake in their RVs.
Because they're grilling dogs and burgers, I mean, come on. I mean, they're going to watch. And then part of me likes a lot of it. I think it is asking a lot for the players to have one more game in terms of wear and tear on their body. But if there's 2 bye weeks, which I assume there will be, my hatred for short weeks on a Thursday. You better be able to structure a lot of games where they have like 10 days rest for that, and on both sides of it as opposed to 4. So that part I like. I also think it could be good for player development because inevitably you'd have to bump the rosters up. Maybe it's a 60-man roster.
Ooh,
you know what I mean?
sure.
You keep another offensive lineman or another quarterback to develop or, specialty players like – Steelers only keep a returner, like the only returns, but I can do that. And it maybe increases the quality of the game because you have more people active on game day. Now, I'm sure the players are going to say, well, what do we get out of it?
Absolutely.
I'm sure the cap would go up a lot. We'd give you more roster spots, probably throw you something else. But I don't even think I'm not sure on this, but I don't think it has to wait until the next CBA either.
I don't think so.
I think you could just present it to the players and be like, what if we give you a lot more money?
Yes.
And we're going to do it.
And that's one of the things, like Robert Kraft mentioned that this results in more money for everyone. And we know that is, that's what stirs the drink in these conversations, certainly.
And the international thing's pretty cool. I mean,
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I'm leaning towards my answer is no. I just wonder if you go that route. If 5-6 years later, the novelty of it is worn off a little bit.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's
they
the
must
only
not think
thing.
so. Because,
and Matt, I don't know
if
what
else. If someone goes to Dublin every year, will it be as awesome as this year? Right.
And the answer to that is no.
Probably not. Right. Yeah.
But that also doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm just interested because I was racking my brain. I do this often, like driving in here, like kind of racking my brain and thinking of ideas and topics and. I'm like, okay, what's a parallel that we can draw to this of the NFL have, and the only thing that came to my mind that's even remotely in the same stratosphere was the NHL in their Winter Classic, like the outdoor game that they do on New Year's Day. Right. And then they added the Stadium Series where there wasn't just the one outdoor game every year. There was now like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I feel like the novelty of it has worn off. Now, I'm not naive. That's hockey, not the National Football League.
Sure.
Massive, massive difference.
Right.
One game in the NFL means a hell of a lot more than one game in an 82 game season. But I remember
we're having these games in Paris and Mexico City.
But
I
still remember 15 years ago how big of a deal it was if your team was playing an outdoor hockey game.
Now I'm not even sure I'd tune in. If it
now
depends.
it's like,
right.
oh wait, there was one last week. I didn't even know.
Didn't hear. Yeah.
And again, that football is different because every game means so much, and it's a completely different animal. But I just wonder if 5 years later, 15 years later, if it'd be like, do we really need to have a game in Spain every single year? Do we really need to have a game every single year? But
I'm sure they've done enough research.
I'm
that
sure
they
certainly have. And, maybe that's just you continue to build those fan bases, and maybe in 15 years you do revisit it and say, okay, do we still need to do this? And you could always scale it back. Or you go, it's really working, and you ramp it up, and, everyone starts playing 2 international games a year.
There's a team in London or, right.
Right. Team in Mexico City, team in Canada.
So we've been talking about this for years. It'll start a week later or a week earlier. We would get rid of a preseason game, which I don't think anybody has any problem with. But I also think there's a chance it would become 8 playoff teams.
Ooh.
I think that waters it down a little bit.
Would you go back to the 2 first-round buys?
I don't know. I don't know if it would go 2 first-round buys or 1 versus 8 or whatever.
Okay.
But I think that would be a possibility. Because one thing, and this year, it's not a great example, not a great year or timing for this, because this year was so obvious. But so many teams were out of it too early this year. And I think this year's kind of a one-off. Yeah. I do too, but I could see it going to 8 games playoff-wise. I like the idea of 8 home, or I guess it'd be 9 home, 9 away, as opposed to every other year you have more than one than the other, although one would be an international game. But I think it's coming no matter what.
I think so too.
Yeah.
It's inevitable because if the money flow increases, it's going to get done.
Yeah.
That's every business walk of life. And I think this is just we've felt that this was inevitable for a couple years.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for years, yeah.
But when someone like Robert Kraft goes on radio and very candidly like, oh yeah, this is our priority.
This is what we're doing.
It's like, all right, well that's right around the corner then. Yeah. If they're talking about it like that, it's much closer than it is further away.
Yeah, it's coming. No doubt in my mind. This is more of like a fantasy thing though too, but like we were talking about it on the fantasy show, like will they lessen Christian McCaffrey's workload a little bit more? You know what I mean? On a week-to-week basis.
Load management.
Yeah, load management was a word we kept using.
Oh, man.
Like I guess that's a big NBA thing,
It is a big NBA thing, certainly. We'll see. A lot of unknown around that, except for it's inevitable that it eventually gets done and will certainly change the dynamic of the regular season.
Now the NBA's going to miss the 3rd preseason game.
No.
Yeah.
No. And
nobody missed the 4th one when they got rid of it.
Right. And I don't think any local businesses and economies and season ticket holders are going to complain about an extra home game either.
No, right.
Or an extra regular season game, home game, that type of thing on the schedule. Let's take a break here. We are going to talk to Chris Halicke in about 15 minutes to get all the latest on the head coaching search. But Matt, let's transition for a segment and have a little fun, okay? And talk football adjacent conversation.
All right.
I've teased this with you guys a little bit throughout the year, but I'm at all the Steelers games, preseason, home, away, regular season, playoffs, stateside, Ireland, and I compiled a list of every single trip that we took, and I power ranked the food that they serve in the press boxes to us at those games.
So if you haven't been there, it can't make the list.
Yeah, it's just this year. The road trips, the Steelers took this year in 2025 alone.
Okay, cool.
Preseason, regular season, and that international game in Dublin. We'll talk about it.
I was at.
That's a pretty good one that you picked there. We'll talk about that when we return, have some fun with that when we return here on The Drive. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, just getting started on a Wednesday on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. On The Drive here. It's time to have some fun for a few minutes before we get back into the coaching carousel conversation with Chris Halicke. Matt, a little best of the West stadium food power rankings, and I should clarify, this is what we get served in the broadcast booth in the press box.
Yeah.
So
this is not nachos that people can fans get.
Exactly
right.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like, oh, you know,
Or what beers are on tap.
I went and saw the Steelers in Carolina, and they had a such and such whatever barbecue something. Yes, it's it's the food that they serve us.
It's not Permanis that you guys can go to or Quaker Steak and Lube. Right?
Exactly
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Exactly right. It is the food that they serve us. We have no choice over this. It's either. I mean, it's very nice that they provide it, so I'm not complaining. But there's obviously tiers to it. So
I know the answer to this, but there's pregame food.
Yes.
Then there's a halftime, which is different.
Yes.
And then for you guys that are late, there's often pizza or something else.
For us,
right?
there's usually something you can snag when you're going onto the bus too.
Yeah.
But I kind of
I'm even talking about home games, I guess.
Yes.
But yeah.
And road games too. Like, so for example, Baltimore used to get a big bump because you would get Jimmy's crab cakes on the way out onto the bus.
Oh, that's a nice way
Jimmy's
to end the day,
Seafood
though,
is like one of those famous Baltimore seafood places, and you would get 2 crab cakes with like corn and sides and stuff too, and it was unbelievable.
Okay.
But what I did this year, because to be fair, that's just for team employees. Like the Brian Backos and the Mike DeFabos and the Chris
You guys on the
Adamskis.
bus on the team flight get that.
Yes.
Like often they'll give you like Chick-fil-A as you're walking on.
Exactly right. Like when we've gone to Buffalo in the past, like you'll get a box of a dozen wings when you're getting on the bus after the game. But the other press folks don't get that. Just
it's
team.
not in
that's
the
just
press
team
box.
employees.
Yeah,
so
I would think that doesn't count.
This is press box broadcast booth only.
Okay.
I've got these ranked. Every preseason, the Dublin game, which I know technically was a home game, but
I would rank it.
Anywhere that wasn't Acrisure Stadium, what they had, and I've got 4 different tiers here for you, Matt.
But you didn't add Acrisure in the mix.
I did not.
Okay.
And I think they'd be like right about in the middle. Acrisure it's not the best in the league, but it is certainly far from the bottom of the barrel.
Okay,
it's right about league average, I would say. I'm going to start at the top because I just think it's more fun in that regard.
Yeah, I don't know why.
The elite tier, I have 3 in the elite tier. Number 1 is LA and SoFi Stadium. I don't think that
you say everything about that place is awesome.
And I don't think that should surprise anybody.
Yeah.
But you get there and
that place just seems like money.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. You get there and it is every type of candy and appetizer you could imagine. So
I've obviously had good conversations with Dale and others over the years. And you can attest this better than me, but I used to go as a scout and stuff too. But there are a lot of these places have like big candy bars.
Oh, it's like
the
walking
candy
through Costco.
Yeah, right. Like, and lots of variety. Not like here's a little fun size bar. Yeah.
Exactly right. And then their food spread is basically it's like if you could walk through the line at Chipotle and build it yourself.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, it's all these different rices and proteins and tortillas and salsas and guac and queso and stuff.
Awesome,
You go through, you want to make taco, burrito, enchiladas, whatever you want. It's like build your own Chipotle. It's incredible. It's number 1.
Yeah. That's hard to beat.
A close number 2 was Carolina.
So you're not going to go like with the halftime stuff too, because halftime's different. If something stands out,
so like in LA, it's the enchiladas at halftime. I'm pretty sure is the halftime, and like a salad bar, which is really nice too. Yeah.
Usually the halftime isn't as good as the pregame.
Usually the halftime isn't as good, but
like something to like.
It can be pizza, it can be hot dogs, it can be soft pretzels.
Like something else.
In Philly, it's soft pretzels at halftime, but they're like the good homemade Philly soft pretzels. They're delicious. Like I save room for halftime because you want some of those soft pretzels.
I don't know about you, but when I was new to this, I was actually kind of shocked that something else came out at halftime. Like, who's still hungry?
Who's still hungry? It's amazing how much food is around.
Only an hour and a half ago, I just stuffed my face like crazy. Right.
Carolina number 2, amazing barbecue spread. Pulled pork, brisket, Carolina barbecue in the preseason. And Detroit's is really good too. I'll get to them in a second. But what gave Carolina the edge at number 2 is 2 things that really appeal to my heart. Carolina has a self-serve, soft-serve station.
I've told you at the Browns, I hit that way too often.
So at any time in Carolina, from the minute you get there to the minute you leave, you can go over to the soft serve. And then you go to the table
huge.
And there's Reese's and Oreos and every topping you imagine.
You can sundae it
unbelievable.
Up. It's not just a cone.
And, Matt, this is a personal West thing, but they also have blue Powerade on their fountain drink system there in Carolina.
That wouldn't move the needle for me, but I could see how you'd like that.
And when you catch Wes a day after he's had a few beers.
Yeah, night before you went out.
Night before on the road we go out, blue Powerade is that's my healing elixir the day after a night out.
That's big.
Those
all you want there.
The soft serve, self-serve, and the blue Powerade bottomless.
I would definitely hit the soft serve.
Put that at number 2. But then number 3, the final one in the elite tier, is Detroit. It was also barbecue. It was unbelievable. Amazing.
I don't think about that for like Michigan.
Same here. I was pleasantly surprised though. Amazing pulled chicken, some of the best I've ever had in my life. Really good pulled pork, which I'm very particular on because I think I do amazing pulled pork myself on my smoker. And they had just some of the best mac and cheese I've had. Great sides, great cornbread. Detroit number 3, and the last one in the elite tier.
It's a good group.
Now into the really good tier.
TV wouldn't have brought me that sandwich. I'd be starving right now. Salivating.
Now into the when's dinner? Can we get that General Tso's and spaghetti in here right now, please?
Right.
Now into the second tier, the really good tier. Number 4, surprisingly, they upgraded big time this year. It's the Cleveland Browns. When I used to do this exercise every year with Moats in the past, they would be towards the bottom. This year, they were outstanding. They had
back in my day, I don't remember them being great.
They had an omelet bar.
Fun.
Like go up, make your own omelet, anything.
Yeah.
They had
some people get there pretty early, like you.
Exactly right. When you get there at 9 a.m, that's money.
Oh, that's awesome.
Omelet bar. Their signature brats that they do with this homemade mustard it's like the best mustard I've ever had in my life.
Stadium mustard.
Yeah, I would.
It's the best thing I ever. I always have in my fridge. That's the number one thing I got.
Where do you get it?
You can get it like a Giant Eagle now.
Can you?
Yeah, it's like tucked away and there's not a lot of it.
Because it's unbelievable.
I've gotten it on Amazon. I always have Stadium mustard at my house, and it's the best thing that came from my year in Cleveland.
It's unbelievable.
I always put on dogs and brats and kibasi and
really good brisket, a really good salad bar, full ice cream bar spread. Cleveland
full ice cream bar is nice.
Cleveland maybe should be up in the elite tier too. But they're number 4 of the really good tier.
There.
5, New England. Not a crazy amount of spread like some of these other places, but Matt, 10 out of 10 clam chowder, and that's
thinking seafood.
That's enough to put them at number 5.
I'm like, they're not giving you a full lobster.
They had these bottomless pits of New England clam chowder.
I try all I'd eat.
I had 5 bowls of it. I mean, it was 10 out of 10 clam chowder. It was outstanding.
I don't want any side. I'm just going to eat that the whole time.
They're number 5. Then number 6.
The New England clam chowder, obviously. The white one. Right?
The white. The real stuff, not that Manhattan nonsense.
Garbage.
Last of the really good tier, number 6 overall, Baltimore. You would love. They've got the best coffee drink selection in the league.
I remember you saying there's one of these places has like this awesome drink machine where you can be like
anything in the world you could imagine from a coffee, hydration, electrolyte, caffeine standpoint is that you can get any type of coffee, Americano, espresso, latte, you name it.
Yeah.
You can get any water, flavored water. You can have them add electrolytes to it. It's unbelievable there.
I remember we talked about this on the air after you came back from Baltimore, and I was like, that sounds incredible.
Incredible. And they had a cereal bar this year, which
that's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun. I was like, this is different.
It sounds like cheapy, bowl of milk with Special K or whatever.
But I never had cereal. I was like, this is great.
If it's right in front of me, I'm like, yeah, I'll fill up a bowl or whatever.
And they have like an ongoing popcorn machine in Baltimore that makes fresh popcorn the whole game, and it
probably smells so good too.
It's very good.
Everyone should have that.
Everyone should have that.
Every bar should have that too.
Every single. That's why we love Latrobe. Every bar has popcorn.
Sharky's used to.
Not anymore.
Right.
It's our one beef with Sharky's. We still love you, Sharky's.
COVID did a number on popcorn machines.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
That's true. That actually makes a lot of sense. Kind of like water fountains.
Yeah.
So Baltimore, the last of the really good tier, they come in at number 6. Then the fine, okay tier. Not great.
Sure.
Not terrible. New York, MetLife. It was like so. Some of these, again, it depends if it's a 1 o'clock game, if it's a night game.
Sure. I'm sure Monday night's a different
But for the 1 o'clock games, it's nice when they have breakfast and lunch options. New York at MetLife for that 1 o'clock season opener, it was all breakfast. Which
I bet breakfast is a little rare.
Which is not the worst thing in the world. It's fine.
Right.
But it's also like,
well, you got there at 9 and I'm hungry again.
I'm
at 1.
there for 12 hours.
Yeah.
When I go back at 12:30 and it's still eggs and bacon and sausage.
Bacon and eggs,
yeah. So fine. Like I'm not complaining, but it wasn't great. Jacksonville at number 8.
And you can't screw up breakfast. I'm sure it's great when you're in the mood for breakfast.
Eggs and bacon and sausage and toast. It's fine. Jacksonville at number 8. Speaking of your fusion, it was like a Tex-Mex, like a Florida Mex, which typically is really good, but for some reason it was all slightly overcooked. It was all
maybe he's got him on a bad day.
Maybe I just got him on a bad day. Because when we were in Jacksonville like 2 or 3 years ago for that preseason game, they were towards the top of my list that year. So I might have just got him on a bad day. Right spread, It was just everything was a
wasn't
little
prepared.
dry, a little
Yeah,
overcooked.
okay.
It was their first preseason game of the year. Maybe they were just knocking off the rust.
Maybe it was a new group.
But they're at number 8. Number 9 is Cincinnati. It's like Skyline chili dogs.
Do they do Skyline?
It's like Skyline chili dogs and mac and cheese. Again, it's fine.
It's fine, yeah.
But it's just hot dogs and chili.
Right.
It's fine. That's number 9. And then the last tier I called the Call John Taffer tier. and that's Chicago and Dublin. And that's because it was really just a lifeless. In Chicago, we had nothing.
I would say Dublin was non-existent, basically.
And
right.
both of these were. In Chicago, we had nothing except for somebody came into our broadcast booth at halftime with a box of like cold, lifeless ham sandwiches with like lettuce,
really?
with like
Pre-made,
lettuce,
yeah.
and like a little packet of mayonnaise. And you could tell it was very pre-made, and the bread was stale and soggy. And it was like 2 pieces of ham and 1 slice of American cheese and
Probably
1 slice
like
of
the best ham out there either. You know.
And same thing with Dublin. We got lifeless sandwich post game in a little tiny bag, and that was it.
There was
no food pregame or halftime or anything in Dublin.
I say there's not a press box.
There's not a press box.
To defend them, there's
halftime
not
they
a
came,
press
or at
box.
the end of the game they came around and just tossed us all a bunch of sandwiches.
And what Rob and I ate with Rob before the game is they gave us tickets, and we'd go out.
Yeah, that's right.
And we got like burgers or hot dogs that they were grilling, for the food. We just stood in line with the fans, and they gave us like these free tickets. Actually, they didn't give us tickets. We just had Steeler gear on, and we're just like, they're like, you can have them for free.
I was able to talk my way into some bangers and mash from the from the concession stand because I needed something. I was starving,
and it wasn't great to be honest.
And it wasn't great. Some of those things about the food in some of those European areas can be true.
I remember when I got there, I'm like, what do you mean there's no food? I'm starving already, and I'm going to be here for 5 more hours.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
Like, there's not even like a candy bar around or anything.
So there's your Best of the West food power rankings for the 2025 season.
Okay. No, you sold them well.
LA, Carolina, Detroit, very well done. Cleveland.
Jacksonville might have got a raw deal.
Doing what you're doing. Because again, like 2 or 3 years ago, they were, I think, 2 or 3 on my list.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we just caught them on a bad day. Everybody can have a bad day from time to time.
So if you did this for the Bengals, you get the same thing every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not great.
Not great. Right?
Not great.
At least, I mean, like
you just plan to eat before you get there, I guess.
Yeah, like I'm sick of these. Right.
The one thing I will give Cincinnati is Condado tacos, which there's a couple of them in the Pittsburgh area. They're really good.
They're really good.
That originated in Cincinnati. That's always their post-game meal.
Oh,
so it's like
that's nice.
It's like grab all the tacos you want.
Okay.
Chicken rice bowls, which is really good. But I will give
that has some.
So Cincinnati's like I'll have a Skyline dog or 2, and then I'll just wait to get on the bus and
you only have once
down
a year.
bunch
You
of
don't have to do it
tacos.
for 12 games
Correct.
or whatever.
Correct.
Preseason.
Let's get back into the coaching carousel when we return on the other side with Chris Halicke. He will join us with all the latest. We'll do that when we return. Uhler, Williamson, it's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Back on The Drive here, into the phone lines we go to talk to our buddy Chris Halicke. He's become a regular here on our programming throughout the season. Of course, covers the Steelers for DK Pittsburgh Sports. Chris, pretty wild week plus here since the Steelers' regular season ended. A lot that we want to get into with you. But I want to start actually with just your thoughts on Andy Weidl, interviewing for the Falcons' vacant GM job, and how much of a loss, that would be for the Steelers to lose a guy like that in the organization right in the middle of kind of the combine and the draft and the free agency process.
Oh man, that would be. I mean, Mike Tomlin is a significant loss just because you have to hire a new coach. But when you talk about the next most impactful guy to lose, maybe outside of Omar Khan, Andy is right there. And there are some valuable position coaches, by the way, that I would put up there. That man, it would suck for the Steelers if they left. But Andy is he puts the draft board together. He's in charge of that. This is kind of the time of year where Andy Weidl shines, and to lose him right as you're getting ready to go into the Senior Bowl is next week. The combine will be here before we know it. It would be not just a big loss, but also right when you're getting ready to go into the draft and go in with a new head coach who's going to bring his own vision for his own philosophy for how the roster is going to be constructed, how the team's going to play. Yeah, it would be would be a significant loss. But at the same time, if it were to happen, you at least do have like this new coach coming in, and he might have a new, fresh perspective, and it might help if he has somebody new in that role.
Yeah, it's well said. And we were talking about it in the first segment and said something along the lines of Andy's probably going to be a GM someday. It's probably a matter of when, not if. For Steelers' perspective, you hope it's later than sooner. For his perspective, you hope it's sooner than later. I'm rooting for him. But you brought up a good point, though, about the new coaching staff, too. So Andy included, but also all the scouts. Like I went through with this in my year in Cleveland. When there's a coaching change, a lot of the work you did isn't useless, but it's not the same. You know, like Butch Davis, who I worked for, ran a very strict 4-3 stack, you know, like the U. You know, they had great athletes, where Romeo Crennel took over, and we basically threw all that stuff away. We're playing a 3-4. We want Will Fork and Seymour, you know? So there's a lot of change here that I hadn't really dug into until you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, either way, whether they hire an offensive coach or defensive coach, you know, whatever it is, they are going to bring their own philosophy, and especially if it is, if they continue to go with the molds that they've gone with Chuck Noll and Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin, it would then be a defensive coach in his 30s with no previous head coach experience, which means a different perspective on that side of the ball, which, like you said, like what happens? Does the 3-4 get completely thrown out?
Mm-hmm.
Do they go to a 4-3? Do they go to a situation where, like, is it going to be now predominantly too high, cover 4 match, you know, whatever it is, it's going to be different. And so if there's a time to have a shakeup in the front office, it's when you're changing your head coach, because the head coach ultimately has a lot more power in the NFL than any head coach or manager in other sports.
It's a lot to chew on at this point, certainly.
Yeah, it sounds like you need a right fielder.
Yeah.
You know, you need a yeah, and this linebacker needs to be able to do this, and that. You know, right?
Key pillar of the organization, absolutely. And Chris, obviously, this is all going on while the Steelers are looking for a head coach. There continues to seem to be more and more momentum, more and more kind of, you know, where there's smoke, there's fire around Mike McCarthy, who will have a formal interview. I think it is today, actually. What's your kind of, you know, your heat check, your pulse of that? Does Mike McCarthy really feel like he's a viable candidate? Is he kind of on that short list of guys that you would say have a real shot of landing this job?
And Chris, if he were to land the job, what would your thoughts be on him?
Well, my initial thoughts on him are he is the antithesis of what they would normally hire in the past. Right. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin were all hired in their 30s. They were all defensive coaches, and all of them had no previous NFL head coach experience. Mike McCarthy is an offensive coach. He's 62 years old, and he has 18 seasons of experience as an NFL head coach.
Yeah.
He is the exact opposite of the mold that they've had for the last 57 seasons. So I think that would be a drastic change. My reservation on it is I feel like it would be a little short-sighted, especially if it came with a reunion with Aaron Rodgers. Now, I'm not saying that they shouldn't try to bring back Aaron Rodgers, but I know for a fact that Omar, for a long time, predating this head coaching search, has made a long-term option at quarterback a priority, a top priority for the organization. To me, that has to become the priority right now. Now, you may not get that guy right now. Like, you might not be able to draft that guy in the first round. But you have to start putting the plan in place for how that guy is eventually going to be chosen, whether it's through the draft, acquired via trade, whatever it is, or signed via free agency, whatever it is. I don't know that Mike McCarthy is going to be that guy. Now, I understand that there's some reports out there saying that he's a strong candidate and all this stuff. I also am wary of where those reports come from and how those reports are usually fed, and they're usually fed through agents. And so it could just be Mike McCarthy's agent really puffing him up. I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to be the move that they make. I just don't. Now, I could be wrong on this. I just don't feel like – I felt more along the lines of Chris Shula, Anthony Weaver, something along those lines maybe even Brian Flores. I just don't think McCarthy is going to be that guy. And if he is, what's the plan moving forward? Because I highly doubt that he would coach the next 19 seasons if he is the next head coach.
Definitely would not.
I feel like it's a little short-sighted.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a little crazy. I'm not giving you a hard time, but, like, does everyone really expect the next guy to coach for 2 decades? I just think that shouldn't even be in the parameters because it just doesn't happen in the league, although it has happened here 3 times. I get it.
Well, I understand, like, when you look at the situations with what Bill Cowher inherited and with what Mike Tomlin inherited, more so with Mike Tomlin, success was expected pretty quickly, especially, like I said, especially with Tomlin. He was inheriting Ben Roethlisberger and a defense that was 2 years removed from winning a Super Bowl. The expectations were pretty high right away. Not so much with Bill Cowher because he didn't have that quarterback right away and so on and so forth. But I understand that. But what I want to see, I guess, from the Steelers is, listen, we've talked about it on this show, and I know Matt and I have talked about this elsewhere. There needs to be a refresh in terms of how the Steelers operate, both on and off the field. More so on the field. I feel like the X's and O's have been a little bit behind, a little bit lacking in terms of league trends and stuff like that, and I feel like a younger head coach would be able to bring a fresh perspective there. I don't know what McCarthy would bring. It's not like he's like Curt Cignetti's 64 years old, but his approach, not just at Indiana, but at James Madison and other stops, has been very, very new school. I don't get that McCarthy would be a new school type guy if he were the hire. That's just kind of my perspective on it. And I know this, that if they hire McCarthy, I'm very curious to see. Like, I'm always tuned in when I'm on the job, but I'll probably be even more tuned in as much as I possibly can, like maybe even like override a little bit to see everything that he has to say in that introductory press conference. Because I would want to know what the future of the organization would be, because after the head coach is hired, the next priority has to be getting that long-term franchise quarterback, because you're not going to win if you don't have one.
You would hope he would then in turn hire a young staff, or at least mostly a young staff.
Right. Yeah, that's what I would think. Now, I don't know what all is going to be out there. You could try to lure a Nate Shieldhouse away from the Rams, but I don't know if that'll happen. If he's not going to be taking a head coach position. Kyle Shanahan's already said he's not going to let somebody else hire Clay Kubiak to be an offensive coordinator. Like, the only time he's going to let him leave is if he's taking a promotion, a head coach position. So I don't know what the staff would even look like under McCarthy.
Chris, last one I've got for you, buddy. We're going to spend the next hour of the show talking 5th-year options around the National Football League, and we'll cover all 32, but we're going to spend the most time on Broderick Jones. That decision is coming down the pipeline for the Steelers. What would you do with Broderick Jones' 5th-year option?
I don't know how you can pick it up with his play over the first 3 seasons. Now he's coming off of a neck injury that ended his season. Sometimes these stinger injuries, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying I know anything when it comes to the nature of the injury or anything like that, but we've seen guys not be able to play again after this. So not only the quality of play and the inconsistency there, but then also on top of that, I want to make sure the neck is okay before anything, and if there's any kind of hesitation on that at all, there's no way, because it's not just the fact that you're committing another year, but it's how expensive that 5th-year option is. It's for an offensive lineman, and you're talking $20+ million. That's outrageously expensive when you're going to have Dylan Cook still on the roster on a dime, making barely over $1 million. So I don't know how you can pick up the 5th-year option.
Great stuff. Great conversation, as always, with our buddy Chris Halicke of DK Pittsburgh Sports. Chris, buddy, thank you for taking the time. Good luck in this crazy coaching carousel world with all your coverage, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
There he goes. I tell you what, all of our friends in that realm, Halicke, Adamski, DeFaba, I do not envy them these couple weeks.
No.
It's like my wife is already getting sick of me checking my phone every 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah,
and if I was actually a reporter,
constant.
it's constant. You can never unplug from it until it's done.
It's like your Schefter.
Yeah. God bless those guys.
Yeah, you're just always on call, basically. Right?
You are like an ER doctor, just always always on call.
Here comes something else.
Can never fully relax. Hour in the books, another hour to go. We will jump into those fifth-year options for the 2023 NFL draft class in hour number 2, and obviously plenty of Broderick Jones conversation to follow. We'll do all that and more when we return halfway home here on a Wednesday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, it is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Hour number 2 here of The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. And Matt, it is fifth-year option hour here.
Yeah, this could be a beefy segment.
We'll probably do 2 segments out of this.
That's fine, yeah. And the other non-Steelers we don't have to get super deep into, but I think it's a really interesting conversation.
I do too, and it's the off season. We got time.
It is.
And listen, there are certainly, I'm sure, a portion of our listeners who really only give a rip about the Steelers, and that's fine. But I think
I also think there's logic to learning how the Jags think and the Eagles think, and was this a good pick, or this is why you don't take centers in the first round, and like things like that. Like there's a lot of business to it as well, and it's a flawed system, as we mentioned. Like that you have to make that decision now is a little weird, and I don't think it benefits the players. Like when in doubt, I would say no. Like if I'm truly on the fence, I think you say no, because what if they blow out their knee in week 1?
And going through this list earlier today, just kind of glancing through it and looking at the names and everything, there's only a couple slam dunk yes.
Yeah.
There's not as many. Oh yeah, no. Will Anderson Jr. Yeah, duh, no brainer.
You know what I mean?
But there's
like
not
when
as
Burrow came up, it's like obviously
there's not as many slam dunk yeses in here that you would imagine.
Especially with the parameters that are in place now, where the better the player is, the harder it is to keep them. It used to just be wherever you're drafted, boom, they changed the rules. So the number of fifth-year options, I'm almost certain of this, the number of fifth-year options that are picked up goes down almost every year, or it's definitely less than it was 10 years ago or whatever.
1,000%. And I think once we go through that, there's going to be way more slam dunk no's than there are slam dunk yeses. So fifth-year options, and we'll talk with these guys. There is, as Matt just alluded to, there's your basic fifth-year option tag number. And then there's a playtime incentive. Okay, so if you play 75% or more of the snaps in 2 of your first 3 seasons, or average of over 75% over your first 3 seasons, pardon me, that hits you your playtime incentive, which accelerates that number, raises that number. Then there is another tier if you made 1 Pro Bowl on your rookie deal. And there's another tier if you've made 2 Pro Bowls.
That's not all pros. That's Pro Bowls.
Pro Bowls.
Which some dudes who go to Pro Bowls aren't necessarily the best players either.
Right.
Yeah.
Albeit the caveat in there is that you have to be on the original Pro Bowl ballot. Being named as an alternate does not count.
I didn't know that
until earlier today when I was looking into this too, because I was looking at Will Anderson Jr.'s and he was only on the 1 Pro Bowl notch, and I was like, well, wait a second, he's made 2 Pro Bowls, but the one he made a few years ago, he was actually named as an alternate, so that does not count for this formula.
And what's also weird is some of these players kind of play multiple positions. Like that's a stupid thing about the Pro Bowl too. Is like T.J. Watt goes as a linebacker, where Myles Garrett goes as a defensive end, and they basically play the same position.
Yes, just albeit in a different scheme.
Right.
So let's start at the top of the list here, Matt. Exercise their option, yes. Exercise their option, no. Or you can also throw in a third option, which is yes with an extension. Like
you're allowed to talk extensions with these guys.
You're allowed to talk extension too.
Yeah.
So again, for like the Will Anderson Jr.'s of the world, where you might just want to, hey, if we pick up his option and just wait another year for that long-term contract, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Right.
It's going to only go up from there. Let's lock this guy down ahead
of time.
Almost
all the yeses you want to talk extension with too.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close. Bryce Young's an interesting one, starting at the top. Because I think he's definitely a yes now.
So
but would you want to extend him?
So this is true for everyone, and we'll not start with Broderick, but Jones is going to be a Steeler next year. This is deciding if you're going to have him the year after under your control, your contract, let alone, or if,
this is for 16 months from now. Is he going to be on my roster?
Right. So if you if you don't pick up one of these options, that doesn't mean you can't sign them when he becomes a free agent.
Absolutely.
Or you get to camp and he's unbelievably good and let's talk contracts, or we love you, we screwed up, whatever. Young, I think you have to pick it up. And that would worry me. Because, I mean, like, the team is a playoff team. They're kind of ahead of schedule. I mean, as bad as they were last year.
They were 8-9, but they still won the division.
They won the division.
And even 8-9 was better than people expected.
I would say they beat expectations, and Young was more of a positive than a negative, and his career is slowly trending the right direction. But if I was that team, I would be petrified of being in Matt Schaub, Andy Dalton land of quarterback purgatory. That, yeah, we like our guy, but he's too middle of the road forever and ever. Because every day when he wakes up, he's going to be 5'10". You know what I mean?
It's a weird one. I think it's a yes for picking up his option. I would not be looking to extend him long term at this point.
I'd be pretty happy to have him for these 2 years then.
2 more years, and let's see what happens here. C.J. Stroud up on the docket. Both of these guys, Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, have hit that first playtime accelerator in the 5th year.
Playtime,
yes.
but not Pro Bowls.
Not Pro Bowls, but the playtime. So they're both in the second of 4 possible tiers.
Stroud's yes, but boy, these last 2 games were as miserable as any playoff performance I've ever seen.
Ooh.
And he is not. I bragged about him a ton. Boy, he's underrated going into Steelers-Texans, and these last 2 games were horrendous. And he hasn't been a plus player at his position since year 1. I guess I'd treat him like Young, where a couple weeks ago I'd be like, I'd much rather have Stroud. Now I still would rather have Stroud. I think his ceiling's way higher.
Totally.
But there's some doubts right now.
There are.
I mean, that was miserable.
I still think the answer is yes, though, because if you're Houston, how are you going to get better in the next 2 years?
Right.
Like in the go fish conversation. Would you rather
not go fishing?
Would you rather bank on C.J. Stroud finding his form in the next 2 years?
Right.
Or would you rather go fish? I think I'd rather bank on C.J. Stroud because that going fish is that's a vast ocean that you'd be jumping into.
And try to help a run game, and
Staying with the Houston Texans, this is a slam dunk. Yes, Matt, Will Anderson Jr.
Yeah, we could.
In fact, I would probably be trying to sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal right now.
Quarterbacks are a little different, but most of these yeses, you're going to be like, man, if I could lock him up, that'd be great. You know?
He might win.
And they may prefer that
might win
too,
Defensive Player of the Year.
Now,
in the next couple of years.
I think he would have been He should be runner-up this year.
He's certainly, again, if it's a Heisman type ceremony. And there's 3 or 4 or 5 finalists on the stage, he would absolutely be sitting there beside Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
And wouldn't surprise us one bit if in the next couple of years he won NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah, Will Anderson, a no-brainer. And in fact,
one other caveat, I think it'll come up with this class too. If you got traded, the new team still has the option.
Glad that you mentioned that. Yeah. Glad that you mentioned that because I do think there's some of those guys on
there
here.
usually is. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Will Anderson Jr., one of those few slam dunk no-brainer that we were talking about. In fact, you're probably trying to lock him up longer term.
He's a perfect example of why teams like the 5th-year option. Like, I got him for 2 more years before we have to figure this out.
This is great.
I am not losing. I'm getting that extra year out of him.
Absolutely. And while it's a big payday for him, you're probably still getting him at a little bit of a bargain.
If he were to hit the open market 1 year from now, you know what
it'll be about 22, 23-ish $1 million, and he would be making
45.
He'd be making double that is what I was going to say. Number 4, Anthony Richardson. That's a slam dunk.
Massive no.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
That was a gamble by the Colts, and it has not paid off.
No.
Number 5, Devin Witherspoon of the Seattle Seahawks.
That's an easy one, yes.
That's an easy one, but he has hit every accelerator in his contract. But it's a little under $21 million for a legit
for a big time
corner. That's even that he's hit every possible incentive here. That's still well worth it, I think.
Yeah, and something that's really accelerating is the value of slot corners or slot players, the Petries, the Witherspoons, these guys that are, I always say that like the lamp that brings the room together, the rug that brings the room together. That's super important nowadays in today's defenses, and people are going to start paying for them more and more. DeJean,
Brian Branch.
Yeah. Hamilton's even one. They're not all little corners.
And
right. Yeah.
We're going to be talking a lot about that with Caleb Downs when we get more and more into the combine and the draft process. Number 6, this is a very intriguing one, Matt. Paris Johnson Jr., left tackle of the Arizona Cardinals, because your yes would be When he's been healthy, he's been pretty solid.
I'm a big fan.
And you've already got so much change and upheaval in that organization. Do you want to just leave that one be? The other side of that is each of the last 2 years he's ended on IR.
I know. The injuries this year were concerning and really derailed them quite a bit. I still think he's a yes.
Same.
I mean, he's a top 10 left tackle for sure. And the arrow's pointing up as a player. Yes.
This is another one of those go fish options, no chance.
No,
I'd rather just hope he gets healthier.
That's why I drafted him, right?
Yeah. Because he had, again, when he's been healthy, he's been solid. He's been very good, more than solid. Number 7, Tyree Wilson, defensive end of the Las Vegas Raiders. Not a chance.
Not a chance.
He has only started 7 games for the Raiders since being picked 7th overall. That is
very telling.
Very telling.
Bad team.
This one, yes, but it's still interesting. Number 8, Bijan Robinson.
Yes.
Because the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of how do you always, when these running backs are hitting their second contract and getting...
When you pay them is always a little bit of
He might be an extension one now.
Yeah, but you don't want to send him like a 4-year deal because he could hit a wall at any time. I think he's the best back in the league, so he's not going anywhere. We know that. But I
mean, I guess...
When do you give him the contract is an interesting...
Or do you just try and...
Timing thing.
5th-year extension, franchise tag.
Right. That's the other thing is like some of these dudes, all these dudes, you get them this year. If they're good, you pick up the 5th, then you can franchise them. Like Bijan by year 7 might be shot.
And that might be his first chance to hit free agency.
The poor guy, right? Yeah. Same with Jahmyr Gibbs, we will talk about,
Maybe that's one of those things that the players might want
They don't like that.
Make some noise about in this 18-game give and take.
And teams don't do it to him that often either. I mean, it's kind of spreads bad will.
Number 9, I think this is a obvious yes. Jalen Carter, Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably even an extension candidate in that same conversation, but he's a yes.
He's an easy yes.
Easy yes.
He came back after having both shoulders worked on late in the year because before that he was like, he's kind of taking a step back this year. Then he came back like gangbusters. So as long as you're cool with the off-the-field stuff, which nothing's come up since the draft, right. Yeah, he's a great player.
I think actually we're on a run here of a couple pretty easy yeses.
It's a pretty good draft.
It was,
I mean, some drafts aren't as good.
Pick number 10 is another obvious yes. Right tackle, Chicago Bears, Darnell Wright.
Yep.
Easy peasy.
Easy.
No doubt.
Probably even easier than Paris Johnson.
That conversation takes 30 seconds.
Exactly.
Number 11, this I think will be another very quick one. Maybe the best left guard in the National Football League, Peter Skronsky of the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, he came on really, really strong. They've got the most cap space in the league too. Like the money's no problem. Yes.
No.
The problem is, you have to pay him the same as the tackles though. There's a flaw in this ointment. That's the Linderbaum conversation.
Every offensive lineman is the same scale.
Yeah, so you're getting paid basically like a left tackle.
Which we talked about with Linderbaum a bunch last year. But if you're Tennessee, who cares? He's great, and we've got the cap space.
And I got a contract, or my quarterback's on a rookie deal, and I need good big people in front of him.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll pay whatever I can get.
Yes, indeedy. Number 12, Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes.
Exact same as Bijan.
Duh. I mean, without a doubt.
Paste, yeah.
Those two might be the 2 best running backs in the NFL right now. Number 13, Lucas Van Ness, defensive end, Green Bay Packers.
No, it's not a no-brainer garbage, no chance, but no.
It's a no.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Just 8.5 career sacks.
Yeah.
Missed a lot of this season due to injury.
Yeah.
I'm not taking a
risk.
risk.
You got Parsons and Gary,
If this is okay with you, do we skip Broderick here?
Yeah.
And then we'll do the rest of the league. We'll come back next segment and talk Broderick specific. Does that work with you?
I like it.
So Broderick would be up at 14. We'll get to him in a few minutes. Number 15, Will McDonald of the Jets. Jets.
Poor guy, because he's had a lot of sacks. I'm not sure you have enough to go off of to say yes.
Really? Because I thought it was an easy, you just fire sailed. He's a good player.
Yeah. You're going to have cap space. I lean towards yes, but he's not a no-brainer.
You've already gotten rid of so much talent on that defense.
True.
Like, how much do you really want to strip it down?
Yeah.
Although, albeit, he'll be on the roster for 26 regardless. This is for 27, but...
What's interesting, too, is, they have the second pick in the draft. Reese from Ohio State, I think, is going to be pretty chalky to the Jets at number 2. It's a nice pair.
It certainly is.
Speedballs off the edge,
Certainly is.
Yeah.
Number 16, you mentioned how some of these guys are no longer on their original teams, but the new team inherits this option, essentially. This is one of those, Emmanuel Forbes, who was originally drafted
no.
16th by the Commanders, but is now with the LA Rams.
He's a starter. He's playing much better for the Rams.
But he's a no.
I mean, Shula's getting a lot out of him, but he's a no.
I think that's a pretty easy one. 17, this is a pretty easy yes. Christian Gonzalez, cornerback, New England Patriots.
Yep, that's an easy yes.
He's elite. I mean, he's one of the
top five
type guys in the National Football League. This one could be pretty easy, too. Jack Campbell, linebacker of the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, he's done. He came on strong this year, too, and there were some bumps in the road early, like all off-ball linebackers, but yes.
One of Mike Tomlin's favorites.
Yeah, he comes up a lot. Yeah.
For whatever reason, we've laughed about this. All those times, like at training camp, when Mike Tomlin would take the media to dinner, or you'd just be hanging around in the cafeteria or whatever, and everyone's talking. For some reason, when Mike Tomlin would get into storytelling mode, Jack Campbell's name would always come up.
Always the dinner at Iowa,
he loved
right?
telling stories about having dinner with him at Iowa, and how much he was just a commanding presence in that Hawkeyes locker room. Number 19. Formerly of this parish in his collegiate career with the Pitt Panthers, Kalijah Kancey, defensive tackle, 19th overall pick to Tampa Bay.
Poor guy got hurt. Like, this was kind of looking like the breakout season for him.
He's missed 22 games in his first 3 seasons.
I think that's got to be a no then.
I think he's good. Like, when he's healthy, he's good.
He's so much different than Vita Vea.
2 years ago, he had 7.5 sacks.
Yeah, he gets up the field and he's splashy. But I think the answer is no if you have to make the decision now, which you do.
When you've missed 22 games over the last 3 years, I don't think you can guarantee his money for the next 30, 34 games.
For him to not be around, right?
Yeah. And it's a shame because he
if he would have had a year like he's capable, it might be like, yeah.
If he was healthy, he could be one of the better true interior defensive linemen in the NFL.
Upfield explosive guys, yeah.
I mean, I don't like many guys coming out of Pitt, Matt, but I was certainly a fan of his. Number 20, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Duh.
Oh, yeah.
It actually is surprising how many of these are very easy yes or no.
Much more so than I bet last year's class or the year before.
21. This is an interesting one. Quentin Johnson, wide receiver, LA Chargers.
No, not enough.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, he'd be the cheapest deal. I mean, he has no Pro Bowls or any of that stuff. I would, and that's not even a McDaniel thing, but he's not really a fit at all in McDaniel's offense. But McDaniel's going to fit himself to their offense.
Sure.
But they got McConkey. They drafted a second-round receiver this year. That he's a no.
Another wide receiver, 22nd overall, Zay Flowers of the Baltimore Ravens.
I would think yes.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, he went to Pro Bowl this year, so he's going to be a little bit on the pricier side. But
he's going to be, let's see here, about $24 million a year.
I mean, he was their leading receiver in
I think
13 or 14 games this year, right?
You'd need more playmakers on that offense if you're Baltimore. And
you'd be in trouble without him.
Yes. 23.
He'd make a lot in the open market, too.
Yeah. No doubt. 23, and what was this stretch of wide receiver drafted in 2023? Also formerly of this parish during his collegiate days, Jordan Addison.
I lean towards no.
I think
he's replaceable.
I think he's very good.
Yeah, I do too.
But he can't stay out of trouble.
I'd say he's got a lot of
off the field stuff.
Too,
and
right.
when this is guaranteeing someone's money for 2 years.
Right. Do I trust him off the field too? Justin Jefferson's always going to be the alpha.
And you've already got Justin Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, again, if he has a good year this year, stays in line, you can always work out a contract with him. Yeah. But I don't think I want to guarantee his money for 2 years right now, as much as I do like him as a player. 24, Deonte Banks, corner for the Giants.
No.
Nah.
No.
He's
flashed a little here and there, but mostly he's been disappointing.
Played less than half of their defensive snaps this year.
Okay.
25, Dalton Kincaid, tight end, Buffalo Bills.
Tough one. You would think it's a yes. I don't know.
Because they're already so thin in pass catchers on that roster.
I mean, super important to him, but he's also kind of replaceable. I'd love another year to marinate on that one. I bet it's a yes because the tight end number is not bad.
I was going to say his number's less than $10 million.
I think
that's an easy
okay,
yes.
I didn't realize it was
it's like
what the
$9. It's like
$9.7
$9.7 million.
Yeah,
according to over the cap here.
Like Kyle Pitts is going to get it. You know, it's not that hard to franchise or to franchise or 5th-year option tight ends.
Number 26, Maisie Smith, defensive tackle.
Pitts he's going to get he'll get franchised probably. Yeah.
Yes. 26, Maisie Smith, who was originally drafted by the Cowboys, is now with the Jets.
No chance. Total bust,
yeah. Let's see here. 27, Anton Harrison, right tackle of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Maybe. I would have never thought that a year ago, but he really had a strong year. Probably their best offensive lineman. He's a tackle. You don't want to go tackle shopping. I'm going to say yes on that one.
I think so.
Yeah.
According to Pro Football Focus, allowed just 1 sack on 573 pass blocking snaps this season.
Okay.
28, Miles Murphy, Cincinnati Bengals defensive end.
No.
Nope. 29, Brian Brisset, defensive tackle of the New Orleans Saints.
I would guess not. Good player. They're happy with him, but not.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, not a great one.
We'll have you for another year. Maybe we'll talk a contract extension at some point, but I don't want to be married to you for 2 years.
Yeah, I'm not going to slap it on you right now.
Number 30, Nolan Smith, linebacker, Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh, I'm going to say no, just because he's a part-time player for them. But he's good. He's impactful. Edge guy.
Mm-hmm.
I bet not. I mean, he'd be the cheapest version.
He would be the cheapest version, but I bet no. They've got some dudes that they're going to have to pay on that defense.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't talk long-term with him and
absolutely.
more your speed, but that'd be pricey for an edge.
And then last here, Matt Williamson of the Kansas City Chiefs, Felix Adunze-Ozuma.
No.
Don't think so.
No.
He missed all of this past year with an injury.
Yeah.
He's only had 3 starts in his entire Chiefs career. I think that's a pretty easy no.
And then Porter won 32, right?
This was the 31 draft where was it the Bucks that I think it was Tampa Bay forfeited there.
No, they took Kancey. It was Miami.
Oh yeah, you're right. It was Miami. That's right. Sorry, pardon me. Doing something. You're right. Yes. That might have been with the whole tampering. Was that the whole yes.
I think there was some Michigan tampering of some sort.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. That sounds correct. Man, it's amazing how we forget all these things.
It was only 4 years ago, right?
Yeah, only 3 years ago, but that's right. And then Joey Porter Jr. would have been pick 32, albeit though in the second round. So there's the rest of the league. But what about pick 14 of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Broderick Jones? What to do with his 5th-year option, we will discuss when we return on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Let's talk a little Broderick Jones, 5th-year contract extension option. Of course, the deadline approaching in a few weeks for teams to make these decisions on the class of 2023 and their 5th-year options.
Do you know the deadline?
I
I think it's like before the combine.
Let's see here.
I remember it always like correlating with the combine. It always rings in my head.
It says May 1st here on NFL.com. That feels too late though. But it says the 5th-year option window for this class opened January 5th. Final deadline date is May 1st.
Okay.
I thought it was like around combine time and before the draft and free agency time.
Most people announce them by then too.
Yeah, right. Because they want to have this decision made before they get to free agency and the draft and and all those different things.
I don't think you have to think about it for 4 months. We just did one segment on it.
I don't think it should be a 4-month conversation, especially these teams that know these guys much more, much intimately and much better than we do.
Right.
So, pick 14, Broderick Jones, the first draft pick of the Omar Khan era that the Steelers moved up a few spots to go and nab the left tackle out of Georgia. Matt, I think this was already a tough call before Broderick missed the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was trending in the right direction, but then misses the end of the season.
Yeah.
The Dylan Cook and how well he played down the stretch is a real factor in this.
Yes.
And finally, that number 4, Broderick Jones, he would hit the first incentive of playing time.
Yeah, the cheapest version.
So not the second or third Pro Bowl accelerators, but he does have that first level up because of his playing time. So that number would be about $20 million.
So the short answer is no, you don't. But before the season or early in the season, I would have leaned towards giving him the benefit of the doubt for 2 reasons. First off, I think he's very, very talented. I think there's a lot to work with there. Didn't know this at the time, but he is going to have a new offensive line coach for better or worse. I mean, I'm sure they'll do different techniques with him next year. But the thing is, and this is what makes things a little hairy, and this is before we even knew about the injury or Dylan Cook is the way I was thinking of it too, is your premium picks, you want to go to a quarterback, whether that's packaging 2 firsts, and that seems very unlikely for this draft class. But I don't want to go left tackle shopping again.
I do not.
At all.
Not even close.
Not even close. Because those are first-round picks. I'm not going to just throw a third-rounder in there and hope he sinks or swims type of thing.
Like we've said before, when shopping for quarterbacks and when shopping for left tackles, I don't want to go to the used dealership and get a Honda Civic that I can ride out and beat up. I want to go
and the Steelers have done that at quarterback time and time again, and it's a hard way to live.
I want to go to Porsche. I want to go to Mercedes-Benz.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to Lamborghini and Ferrari and BMW, and I want to get a luxury option.
I went the 5-star that went to Georgia that has a ton of talent and develop him. He just hasn't developed quite enough. Now, it doesn't complicate things, but I think it makes it feel a lot better that Dylan Cook played as well as he did. I mean, the day Jones got hurt, I was 80% going still no, just because he hasn't played well enough. He's not worth $20 million a year.
And now he's only got 11 games at left tackle.
He's only got 11 games at left tackle, which could be something in his favor. Like, if I can play here over and over.
Maybe the new O-line coach that they hire says, hey, there's something on tape there that we can work with.
Yeah,
in those
I
11
think there
games.
is. There is definitely stuff on tape to work with. But this isn't exactly – well, the answer to the question to me is no.
I think so. I think I'm with you on that.
And by all accounts, he's super popular and a really good person and fun to be around and all those things. And it's not like even
everybody loves – that's another one of those.
Yeah.
When you're around the team, everybody loves Broderick Jones.
And
he's
not
friends
like
with everybody. I mean, everybody in the organization is friends with Broderick Jones.
I don't think he has like work ethic issues or any of that stuff too. It hasn't clicked. I mean, he has – and at that position, you notice the lowlights – heavy.
Absolutely.
And his low lights are pretty low.
Absolutely.
There's too many snaps where he just doesn't block anybody or wrong assignment.
You and I talked about that at times this
right.
season. It was the Broderick Jones conundrum that like 9 of his 10 snaps were really good.
Mm-hmm.
But then that 1 out of 10, it's not a C, it's not a D, it's an F. It's a zero. It's a zero. It's like an incomplete. Right. It's like it did not show up for class.
I mean, that was one thing that Cook had over him and was just he always blocked the right guy. And he at least always blocked somebody. There's a lot of times Jones on all 22 doesn't, or his feet get crossed up, or like there's no technique at all. Mm-hmm. Now this stuff's gotten better as he's been in the league, but I think this is how the O-line situation is going to go in camp because he's going to be there.
Yes, he will be there next year.
Although he is a outside the box trade candidate.
Sure.
People are always looking for left tackles.
Sure.
If you. I would rather take him to camp, though, because maybe a light goes on, new O-line coach. Not the other one was bad. I don't mean that. But it's a different –
Just different voice, different eyeballs.
You're going to have a different whole scheme.
Yep.
So that maybe that'll be what you need. But I think what will happen is there will be a competition. I think when we get to Latrobe, we're going to be talking about a left tackle competition.
Oh, yeah.
Every day and charting them against Ty Smith every week, every practice of Cook versus Jones. Now, I am not sure if Siamalu is going to be back. So I think you pencil in Anderson at left guard. I'd hate to move Jones again, but could you take Jones and stick him at left guard just to get your best 5 out there if he has a good camp?
Sure.
I mean, you moved them a lot already. Is it worth convincing? This is more of a free agent conversation, but do you offer Siamalu a 1-year deal and say, I know that you have a hard time practicing on Thursdays, but you're still pretty good? And I think you absolutely – like I just retweeted something about the comp picks. Steelers are going to have a lot of picks.
Yes.
I don't want to use a first or second round pick on an offensive tackle, but I would like to use at least 1, if not 2, on offensive linemen. And maybe it's one of the, how every year there's that. He's a tackle at NC State, but his arms might be a little too short. He's going to maybe go to guard.
Graham Barton.
Yeah. Like I might grab one of those dudes in the third round.
What was the Jets guy out of USC?
Oh, Vera Tucker.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Right.
Really good tackle in college. We're going to bump him inside.
Yeah.
Wyatt Milam, who we've talked about
He's
before,
one of those guys,
was
one of
those
more the
guys.
mid-round pick type guy.
Yep.
Those guys are first rounders. I might grab that guy in the third round. That's not the beautiful 6'7" tackle, and maybe he's because Cook might turn into a pumpkin. I mean, a year from now, you may have a massive problem at left tackle if Broderick is not picked up. Cook's not good enough.
And again, if you're trying to get your future quarterback,
like I'm at least getting insurance. I'm either getting like that type of dude who's just a good football player and might be my left guard, or maybe can be a swing tackle or my new sixth guy, that type of thing, if Anderson's an everyday starter. And I also wouldn't mind grabbing the project pure tackle too. Those, the guy that is, there's a dude from William and Mary this year that is so raw.
Jordan Mailata.
Yeah, right.
Now that's an ultimate example.
I mean, right.
That's like Alejandro Villanueva. These guys that go from nothing to Pro Bowlers. But
yeah, the 6'7", good feet, small school, bad tape, and just have him sitting around marinating. And he might be my swing guy once in a while, just so he learns to block people at this level once in a while. And maybe he's your long-term left tackle. So when we start talking team needs and draft stuff, I bet I'm going to want 2 offensive linemen, not a pure center. I mean, a pure guard, okay, he could fight for that left guard spot. A pure project tackle, it could be that guy. Somewhere in between, okay, right side set.
I like that plan. I like that plan as you lay it out.
What if
Maybe.
Cook's it?
Then that's
then you're doing
no,
a jig.
Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You just stole one. You
stole
what
one.
I mean?
You Munchaked it. Munchak millionaire.
You Munchak millionaired it. That's exactly right. And so that is, and I think too, just the last wrinkle to add. I agree with everything you said there. I think that's spot on. Is that neck injury? Like, that's a real wrinkle in this, too.
Yeah, Chris mentioned that.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if we thought he was completely healthy and all that and, had gotten to see him for another 6 games, 7 games.
Right.
But that's, a neck injury.
Injuries hurting this whole factor.
Yes,
it's the
absolutely.
Elijah Cansey conversation.
Elijah Cansey conversation. I think especially, though, like a neck injury for a big guy, plays in the trenches. You want to see how that heals and make sure it's not something that's going to linger with him.
And team doctors might be like, oh, he's fine.
Sure.
Yeah. That's why you pay team doctors.
Exactly right. But yeah, this is one of those. It's not a concrete yes or no for me, but I'm leaning towards the no. Go fish.
Yeah, especially because Cook showed something.
And maybe you end up regretting it, and you end up having to sign him to a bigger deal in the offseason than you would have.
That's a good problem to have.
That would be a good problem to have.
It means he played well, but I don't. You don't want to live in your fears, but I don't want to be stuck on I have to draft one this year or especially next.
Especially with what feels like we're kicking that quarterback can down the road another year.
If I feel like I have to use my 2027 draft first-round pick on a tackle.
Not good.
Not good. Unless you signed Malik Willis and he was your answer, or
you draft
Will Howard's the next Tom Brady.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone could Dylan Cook it for you.
You draft Tyler Shuck in round 2 or 3.
And, wow, we think we got a guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well then we have that option, but I don't want to have to do that.
Same.
Like shopping in that aisle is the worst.
I'm completely with you.
I mean, no offense to the former Steeler, but you do not want to be in a position where you have to give Dan Moore $22 million.
No.
From some other team, because that's what those guys are going to get.
I mean, like, think about that.
And Jones is going to get paid even if he doesn't play well or even starts next year.
He'll get an opportunity somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt. And Dan Moore Jr. is a good example to bring into the fold there. He's a starting NFL tackle. Dan Moore is.
Yeah.
No doubt. But $22 million that's a lot of money.
Here's the other small factor of the equation, because I mentioned the comp picks. It just dawned on me. The Steelers are getting their 3rd because of Dan Moore.
Because of Dan Moore, yep.
So when Jones walks, you will get something on the comp pick for him, depending what his value is at that time.
Let's talk more about those comp picks tomorrow on the program and what that might mean for the Steelers' strategy for the draft.
Smart people over the cap that have been putting stuff out that are
It's funny. I saw that too as you were looking at it, and I was like, "Yeah, we'll save it for tomorrow." Because I don't want to pigeonhole it here in the last segment. But yeah, I think that's the way forward with them, with Broderick Jones, and play this thing out in training camp in Latrobe starting at the end of July. One more segment to go on the other side.
Cook is a Steeler for one more year.
One more year.
1 more year.
Yes.
Yeah.
One more segment to go on the other side. We'll get to a couple tweets. We also have some potential moving and shaking around this Baltimore Ravens head coaching vacancy that we'll discuss before we get out of here, too, as we'll take a look at our AFC North foes in Maryland. We'll do all that as we wrap up the show on the other side. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment here of The Drive on this Wednesday, as plenty of moving and shaking around the National Football League. We will have, when we get in the back half of the week here, we will have plenty of Championship Sunday conversation.
Yeah.
We actually, young Nathan working the boards for us, has someone from Seattle who we think are going to join us on Friday to preview, someone who covers the Seahawks who's going to join us to preview that game, talk about the Rams, talk about the Seahawks, talk about Sam Darnold and a lot of the moving and shaking of that one. But before we get there, plenty more to get to in this coaching carousel that is ongoing across the National Football League. We're going to get to some of your tweets too. But before we do that, Matt, according to Jason La Canfora, who covers the Baltimore Ravens in Maryland, if you're someone who kind of keeps an eye on the other teams and
sure
people
everybody's interested in this.
Jason La Canfora is a name that you probably know if you kind of stay up to date on ball. He's someone that I would consider credible in that
big time.
in that orbit is what I'm trying to say with this. He tweets out, multiple execs believe that the Ravens are moving close to a final decision and strongly anticipate Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Mentor getting the Baltimore Ravens head coaching job.
When this all opened, he was the one I thought was most likely to end up in Baltimore. And I don't love it from a Steelers perspective, because if the Steelers would have hired him, I'd have been very happy with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's a strong candidate. Obviously, there's Harbaugh ties there. I mean, he was the defensive coordinator on Michigan's national championship team, and he's a D coordinator with Harbaugh now, and Harbaugh.
He also worked for the Ravens for a few years.
Yeah, so he was in the in the walls already.
Yeah, as a defensive backs coach.
He's one of these dudes that. So, this is a bigger conversation too, but Seattle's a great example. Seattle's the best example, but it's also Minter-esque and Ravens-esque, but. So many of these teams now, and it goes back to that slot corner conversation, is you really need a player there that can do so many things. Hamilton, they turned Derwin James into that guy. So what teams are trying to do now on defense, and it's easier said than done, but Seattle does it incredibly well, is I want to play nickel basically all the time. Because the example I use is basketball. Like, if they bring in their bigs, I don't want to have to substitute.
You want positionless basketball,
exactly.
Right?
If you're going to run with a bunch of point guards and small guys, I still want to leave my five out there, my best five. So I want guys that can handle everything. And you mostly are going to get 12 and 11 personnel, but a lot of 12 is really like 11 and a half, depending if Jonnu Smith's the tight end's a lot different than if Washington's the tight end.
Sure.
Now, that doesn't mean you have to live in nickel. If they're going to bring out jumbo, and that's why jumbo's getting so big, is because teams are reluctant to get out of nickel because that's where they want to live. So if you're going to jumbo it up, I still need to get big, but whatever. You want to play predominantly nickel, predominantly too high safeties, because everyone's so afraid of the explosives. That's an analytics feedback thing.
Yep.
And still be capable against the run. Easier said than done. I'm taking people out of the box, and I'm playing with an extra defensive back on the field. Not enough to be the best run defense in the entire league, but I got to be pretty darn good against the run too. And that's when I hit the home run. Seattle's great.
I was just going to say, you talked about this with Seattle yesterday.
Massive, yeah. And the Chargers were probably right behind him at doing it well, and a lot of it's through this McDonald Raven-esque look at things. A lot of it stems from Fangio too. Now, sometimes those too high safeties can be more aggressive in terms of, I'm going to trigger run quicker.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to just minka it in center field just because they're too high. Doesn't mean that their first step can't be forward, or whatever, And they also give it a lot of coverage looks from there. But he's really mastered that. And with, I think, not as good a personnel as like Seattle has. The Chargers, they have some good players, but I don't think they're special across the board.
No.
Khalil Mack's up in age. Derwin's a good player, but they're not like, I don't know how many Pro Bowlers they have.
I was going to say, they're not littered with all pros over their roster.
Yeah, it's not, and he's still got a lot out of them. And he's supposedly extremely bright and good with the head coaching stuff too. But it makes sense. I think they're in good hands.
It makes sense. There's connections there already. And it'd be, depending on how the Steeler thing shakes out, it could be interesting if you ended up having two defensive coordinators from Los Angeles head into the AFC North.
It could happen. That's pretty funny.
It could happen. Matt, just a couple tweets as we wrap this thing up here for today. Matt tweets us along the lines of those comp picks that we were just kind of hinting at and that we'll spend more time discussing in depth tomorrow. Just wondering if you guys think the Steelers will focus on trying to get more comp picks for the 2027 draft, where we're starting to presume they will go after their QB of the future, or will they try and spend more this offseason due to having a new staff and a little bit more cap space? It's an interesting question.
Okay, so
It's a good one from
I
Matt.
firmly believe that when Omar took over, he looked at, remember, cap picks happened a year later. It's why I think he drafted Broderick Jones, because he knew Dan Moore's not good enough, but he's going to get us a comp pick. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting 2 bites of the apple, one a year later than the other.
And that's that again, to go back to where we started today. Sorry to interrupt you, but that's like the Omar Khan, Andy Weidl, different left and right side brain stuff.
Exactly. The Ravens have been the best comp pick team out there. Philly's really good. The Rams are really good. Those 3 teams have won a lot of games lately. Yeah, there's not a coincidence. Frankly, the Steelers weren't very good for years in the comp pick
They just didn't prioritize. It's something you kind of have to prioritize.
You kind of have to look ahead. You know,
Yes.
like, we're going to let Najee walk. You know, we're going to let even the quarterback decision. It seems so long ago, but when you get Fields and Wilson, there's a couple of things you're looking at there. Like, one of these 2 might be our answer. That's what we're hoping for. But if they're not, I didn't give anything up for either one. And they're both going to hit the open market after the year, and someone's going to give them money because they're a quarterback. That's exactly what happened.
Everybody needs them.
Exactly
Supply
what
and
happened.
demand.
Exactly what happened. So the roster that Omar, remember, he's a cap guy. I mean, he is that's his specialty. So the roster that he picked up, I think he looked at like, I can turn a lot of these guys I inherited into comp picks. The world will keep spinning without Najee and, you know, et cetera, and Dan Moore. Now, the problem with doing it going forward is you got to, and we'll spend a ton of time on this soon, the free agents to be, who's going to command a lot of money? There's not that many. You don't have as marketable free agents to be.
You don't have a starting left
system.
tackle and a veteran quarterback.
Right. So the wealth of comp picks they have now, it's going to be harder. It's not going to happen every year.
It's going to be
not
hard
going to happen every year. Yeah. It's just too hard to do.
No, and if you are going to get those, it would be like from letting guys like Herbig and Joey Porter Jr. walk, which none of us want to see that happen.
So last thing, I think we talked about this. Remember, the Rams went from Jared Goff first overall until Jared Verse without a first-round pick
9
the whole
years.
time in between.
Almost
They
a decade.
still made a ton of picks in between because they would trade for Ramsey or Brandon Cooks or whoever,
and then let him go
and
sign
let
a
him
big
walk,
contract
and then
with
I get a
somebody
third,
else.
fourth, you know, like
Von Miller.
Exactly. I mean, all those dudes they did invest in, they got something on the back end of it too.
It's good,
Yeah.
smart way to do business, honestly. May tweets us and says, better to hire a system coach from a McVay-Shanahan tree or someone like Ben Johnson who was more so doing his own thing. Interesting. I get what you're saying there because Ben Johnson was working for a defensive head coach.
Yeah.
Like it's not that he's part of an offensive guru tree.
I don't have a strong
I don't
feeling
same.
either.
Just hire the right person.
Just hire the right person. And
kind of like Broderick Jones, Dylan Cook. I don't care if you're a first-round pick, if you're a free agent, find me a left tackle. You know, like I want to go shopping if I'm shopping in the more expensive market.
Sure.
But for
Just
this,
you lessen the risk.
I think good coaches can come from anywhere.
Yeah, and if there was someone comparable to Ben Johnson available right now, he'd be the number one candidate for everybody.
You'd love it. You'd love it.
And it hit.
Both Joe and Corbin tweeted us and said that their dream scenario is Shula as head coach, McCarthy as offensive coordinator, Flores as defensive coordinator. Well, I don't think you're getting Flores and Shula. I don't see that one happening. Do you?
No.
When Shula's a defensive guy.
I could see McCarthy and Flores or Shula and
McCarthy? I don't know if I
Steelhouse.
Steelhouse.
Or maybe McCarthy. I mean, I'm the only one that's throwing this out there. Would McCarthy consider being a senior assistant and somehow being on staff? I don't even know if that's close to being in the cards. It just crossed my mind when they talked to him the first time. Maybe you can get two of the names that have been interviewed. There's a chance.
I think three's. I'd love it.
insane.
I'd love it.
Right.
But if you could get two, you'd be in a good spot.
you'd take that all day long.
I think one offensive minded, one defensive
like
minded.
both Rams or Flores is totally in charge of your defense.
And McCarthy.
Because Flores, I can't remember if we said in the first segment or not, Flores does not have a job.
Right. He's a free agent.
He is a free agent. So if he doesn't get a head job and they're filling quick, he just lost out on on Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hire somebody else, you might be like, well, we have a DC job, though. And remember us? We were the ones that grabbed you when nobody wanted you, you know?
Exactly right. Not a bad place to be.
Yep. And the guy we hired's a little older. Maybe you could take over for him in 2 years. Yeah, I'm just saying. I don't know.
Ian tweets us last one and says, gentlemen, when are we going to start queuing up the old mock draft simulators on the show? Soon enough.
I would say around Senior Bowl time.
Like February, probably February time frame when we really start to get more into it.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I mean, the Senior Bowl always comes on me fast. Like, I don't know the names well enough at all. And that's a weekend from now.
And we need all these
But that's when I start to really
We need all
learn.
these staffs and everything to fill out, too, before you. Because, you know, who if the Steelers
We got to
hire
go through all the free agents. You know,
if the
free
Steelers
agency
hire,
happens before the draft, folks.
Yes, it does. And that's important to note. And if the Steelers hire Shula, the way we think that they might approach the draft could be drastically different than if they hire McCarthy.
Yeah. We don't even know the starting quarterback is a head coach or coordinator.
But
right.
before much longer.
We'll fire it up. Yep.
Good stuff today. Enjoyed the show today. Thank you to Chris Halicke for joining us in the first hour of the show. And a big thanks to Nathan for producing on the radio side, TV, Mr. Tyler V for keeping us nice and handsome on YouTube on the video side of things. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Thanks for joining us, tuning in here today. Tomorrow on the show, let's do some more draft talk. I want to circle back on some of these forgotten quarterbacks that were big names a year ago. The Klubniks and the Nussmeyers and the Drew Allers and what to think of those guys. And like I said, we do need to dig a little bit more into this comp pick stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do that and more on tomorrow's show. And so for the next 22 hours, I guess just take care, and we'll talk to you then. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.